Hello everyone, welcome to Homework Help. If you find the videos useful, please subscribe to the channel. So in this video, we'll solve this problem using the concepts of function notation and inverse of a function. So let's start with the problem. So as per the problem, for g at t equals 3t minus 2, determine each value. So let's start with part A. So in part A, we have to find g at 13. So we should sub in t as 13 in the given function g. So our first step is g at 13 equals 3 times 13 minus 2. So now in the next step, we should multiply 3 and 13, so which is 39 minus 2. So g at 13 is equal to 37. So this should be the final answer for part A. So now we can do part B. In part B, we have to find g at 7. So we should sub in t as 7 in the given function g. So g at 7 equals 3 times 7 minus 2. So g at 7. So 3 times 7 is 21 minus 2. And g at 7 is equal to 19. Now we can do part C. So in part C, we have to find g at 13 minus g at 7 over 13 minus 7. Now we have already calculated the values of g at 13 and g at 7 in parts A and B. So our first step is, so g at 13 is equal to 37. So in the numerator, we get 37 minus g at 7, which is equal to 19 over 13 minus 7. So now we can subtract the numbers in the numerator and the denominator. So in the numerator we do 37 minus 19, which is equal to 18 over, then we do 13 minus 7, which is equal to 6. Now we can reduce this fraction. The 6 goes into 18 3 times, so the final answer is 3. So now we can do part D. Now in part D we have to find the inverse of g at 13. So the first step here is to find the inverse of the given function g at t. So we'll rewrite the function g at t, but we'll change the function notation to y. So we can write it as y equals 3t minus 2. Now we can switch the t and the y variables. So we get t equals 3y minus 2. And now we can solve for this new y. So we have to isolate the y. So first we'll add 2 to both sides. So as a result, the 2's on the right side will cancel each other out. So we get t plus 2 equals 3y. Now we can isolate y by dividing both sides by 3. So the 3's on the right side will cancel each other out and we get t plus 2 over 3 equals y. And now we can use the function notation for this inverse. So we can rewrite the inverse of the given function as the inverse of g at t is equal to t plus 2 over 3. Now we have to find the value of the inverse of g at 13. So in the next step, we'll sub in t as 13. So the inverse of g at 13 is equal to, so we sub in t as 13. So 13 plus 2 over 3. So in the next step, we can add the numbers in the numerator. So we get 15 over 3. And this fraction can be reduced to 5. So this should be the final answer for part D. Now we can do part E. So in part E, we have to find the inverse of g at 7. So for that, we can use the inverse of the function g at t that we found in part D. So we know that the inverse of g at t is equal to t plus 2 over 3. So we should sub in t as 7. So we get the inverse of g at 7 equals 7 plus 2 over 3. Now we should add the numbers in the numerator. So the inverse of g at 7 equals 9 over 3, which is equal to just 3. So this should be the final answer for part E. Now we can solve part F. So in part F, we have to use the values of the inverse of g at 13 and the inverse of g at 7 to evaluate this expression. So we know that the inverse of g at 13 is equal to 5. We got the answer in part D. So in the numerator, we'll do 5 minus, and the inverse of g at 7 is equal to 3 over 13 minus 7. So now in the numerator, we can subtract the numbers. So we get 2, and in the denominator, we get 6. And this fraction can be reduced to 1 over 3. So this should be the final answer for part F. So these are the steps you have to keep in mind to solve a problem like this one. So when we have to find the value of the function for a specific value of the input variable, we just sub in the variable with that number and evaluate the expression. And for the inverse, we first have to find the inverse of the given function, and then we sub in the given value for the input variable. So I hope you'll find this video useful. Please share it, like it, and subscribe to Homework Help. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye.